Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to Tuesday nights. Yeah, it sounds like a Tuesday. What do they call it? Happy hour kind of night. Okay, so let's get smashing today. We've got our topic today, as you know, the ruin as an opportunity for correction. I'm going to go through some selected sources here. Let me sort out the texts. There we go. Okay. Now, as you know, if you're following the morning lessons, we're doing these in the morning as well. So this is an opportunity for us to actually go over some really important stuff. As you know, we're progressing according to what the Rav says as well, rather nicely as Bnei Baruch. So I think the working in the 10, the working in the group is kind of bringing the whole of the Bnei Baruch group to a whole new level. Where we're actually kind of maturing and getting into that mold on how to help humanity, how to connect us, and through the connection between us, how to really elevate the whole world towards spirituality. So let's get smashing and read some excerpts, and so we'll see how we go. So once again, the topic is the ruin as an opportunity for correction, selected excerpts. And you can always ask questions, and we'll try to answer them as best we can. Okay. Right then. So excerpt number 1, breaking of the vessels. This is from Baal Sulam. The breaking of the vessels, the correction that comes through this preliminary breaking in the way that the breaking itself is a great correction. Some interpret that it is a corruption in order to correct. However, this phrasing is incorrect. But we should ask about these words. Why should he spoil and then correct? Let him not spoil, and he will not need to correct. However, the thing is, the whole point of the correction and the great benefit that the Creator contemplated in the beginning of creation would not have come to the world were it not through spoiling the vessels in this manner, and whose entire correction is in the matter of clarifying the matter from the beginning that they were never spoiled. So here we have a bit of a confusion, I guess, in terminology, right? So the Creator created the whole of reality, he created it in perfection, and then he broke it. So why break something that he already done really nicely? So obviously it's not a matter of really breaking it, it's a matter of, as best as I can understand, it's not a matter of spoiling and then, you know, fixing something that was already perfect, but it was more as an opportunity to raise someone to understand what creation, what Creator is. So in order for us as the created beings to understand the whole of reality and to elevate ourselves to the level of the Creator so we can understand the whole of reality, it seems like breaking, it seems like kind of spoiling something good, but no, it's actually a way of showing a person what's good, what's bad, what's the difference between them, and what to select properly, what to do about the things. So how we can really bring the good and the bad to some kind of, some kind of mutual contact in order for us to raise ourselves to another level. So the whole of creation in the eyes of the Creator is imperfection initially. So the Creator created everything from his perspective. Everything is perfect. but how to come to see that everything is perfect from the side of the created being. That's the question here he's also trying to address. So it's not a matter of, the creator created something and then broke it and then now it's trying to fix it kind of thing, but it's more like the creator created a perfect state, and he would like the created beings also to realize that perfect state. And in order for them to realize and to understand and to value that perfect state, they must understand what the value of perfection is by seeing what also evil is. So this is also how we perceive reality, right? Day, night, sweet, bitter, good, bad, ugly, beautiful, all that kind of stuff. Everything is in between two opposite ends. So all our impressions is because of two opposite states. What we can now do is construct what that perfection is by actually seeing what evil is in the world. So by seeing evil and by going through all kinds of negative states in life, we can actually want to get out of this negative state voluntarily, through all the ups and downs. And then how we're going to build perfection? Well, we can only build perfection if we understand what bad is. So in spirituality, the most important thing is first to reveal the evil, because if I reveal evil, then I can kind of do something contra to that, counter that, by doing something good. And that way I can actually understand the intention of the creator, how he created everything and so on. And that's actually what we need to get to. It's not just a matter of building perfection and feeling a state of perfectness or perfection, but rather also understanding the whole of creation, how everything works between these two forces, between give and take, between love and hate. All right. So all of this can only happen from two opposite ends. So the creator had to first create a state which was opposite to the perfect state. So it's not a matter of really, spoiling or anything. It's more kind of like laying out some kind of a laboratory or a playroom where the people there can actually come to realize the state they're in and build a higher state. And that's basically called education, really. So life is really teaching us how to elevate ourselves to a higher level of consciousness. Okay, rightio then. Let's carry on reading. Okay, so item number 2. This is from Rabash's article number 19. Come on to Pharaoh number 1. In spirituality, breaking is similar to breaking a vessel in corporeality. With a physical vessel, if it is broken and you pour into it some liquid, the liquid pours out. Likewise, in spirituality, if a thought of will to receive for oneself enters the kli, the abundance pours out to the external ones, meaning outside of holiness. So holiness means for the creator. Anything outside of for the creator is called the other side, the evil inclination, namely the other side of holiness. This is why we say that holiness means to bestow and impurity means to receive. For this reason, we, who were born after the breaking, desire only to receive. Therefore, we cannot be given abundance, for it will all certainly go to the side of the other side, evil inclination. So as you can see, we're actually created from the breaking. So in our nature, we're egoistic. In our nature, we'd like to receive, whereas the creator in his nature is all bestowal. So in order for us to adapt ourselves to his elevated state, we have to first understand all the sitra akhra, the evil side, the other side, the evil inclination. So this is why humanity goes from bad to worse all the time. So we're always feeling from bad to worse, bad to worse. And also we can never have ongoing continuity in our happiness as well, simply because whenever desire and fulfillment meet, one cancels the other. So no matter what I get in life, I'm always going to feel like I'm empty afterwards, because the desire and the pleasure cancel each other out. So unless you've got some higher goal in life that you're pursuing, which is beyond materiality, you're never really going to be happy. You're just going to be in this state of, just going to be in this flow, but it's not going to be real happiness. At the end of the day, happiness can only happen. Happiness, really, what does happiness mean? Happiness means that I don't have a pause, right? So perfection means that I am feeling perfect all the time. That's what perfection means. Happiness also, in terms of spirituality, means that the happiness is ongoing, that the pleasure is never fleeting away. It's never vaporizing. It's never like, disappearing. So in the sense, what we're going through here is the breaking for us is basically an opportunity for us to put it back together, to construct perfection once again. And through that construction, start growing up in corporeality, where I begin to understand how everything works. I construct my life in corporeality, right? Who I am, what I am, my career, job, whatever. And also, at the same time, what we have is the state in spirituality. By constructing myself in spirituality, I actually develop my soul. Okay. So let's do this. Right, yeah. What's the next one? Let's see. Excerpt number 3. This is also from Rabash. What does it mean that by the unification of the Creator and the Shekhinah, all iniquities are atoned? So that's an article. So let's see what Rabash is writing here. The breaking of the vessels, when there was a mingling of the will to receive for oneself with holiness, because of which the vessels broke. So this means that our desire to receive pleasure for ourselves and the Creator cannot exist together. All right, so what we have to do is we have to come to some kind of a mutual understanding between the will to receive and the will to bestow. Also, there was a matter of the sin of the tree of knowledge, which caused holy sparks to fall into the klipot, the evil inclination, that is. It follows that the breaking of the vessels and the sin of the tree of knowledge caused the creatures that come after, that the will to receive receives its sustenance from abiyah of klippa. So in other words, in this world, when we're in our will to receive, we feel our liveliness when we receive, right? If we don't receive in this world, we feel pretty bad. So we have desires and we want to fulfill those desires. And if we don't fulfill them, we feel bad. If we fulfill them, we feel good. That's our situation. And that's how we sustain ourselves here in our current corporeal existence. Okay, let's grab a water. And carry on. Rabash number 4, excerpt number 4. We should believe that our sages tell us, that all the pleasures in corporeal delights are but a tiny candle compared to the pleasures that exist in spirituality. As it is written in the Sulam commentary, this is the meaning of the breaking of the vessels that preceded the creation of the world. Through the breaking of the vessels of holiness and their fall into the separated wells of Biyah, holy sparks fell along with them to the klipot, shells, from which came the pleasures and love of every kind into the domain of the klipot, which passed them on for man's reception and for his delight. It therefore follows that the majority of pleasures are in Kedusha. So this is also Not too far-fetched. We can always understand this as well with the same principle that I mentioned just now. Whenever we have a desire in this life and we fulfill it, the fulfillment and the desire cancel each other out. So our happiness is always momentarily. It's not ongoing. It's not lasting. So if I fulfill a big desire, the pleasure lasts longer. But generally, the minute I get what I want, it's actually, the pleasure and the desire cancel each other out and I'm left with nothing. So I constantly, in this life, I constantly have to just keep chasing pleasures, keep doing what I want, keep doing something that I desire so that I can maintain the pleasure. And that really doesn't work for the majority of humanity. And it really can't work for anyone, really. Because even if you're rich or poor, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you're rich as well, think about it. If you have everything that you want, there's nothing for you to get pleasure from, because pleasure can only be received when I desire something and then I fulfill that desire. So if, I have everything, then whenever I want something, I get it. I don't really have pleasure. This is why also having everything is not a really good thing. You've got nothing to strive for. So the only thing you can really do, if you are well off, is to really aspire to be something that money can't buy, right? So, and that will give you pleasure. So this is the kind of thing in our life. We don't really have pleasure. They're just fleeting pleasures. Most of the time, this is why our life is just full of sheer disappointments. In terms of where humanity is going right now as well, it's just going to be one disappointment after the other, despite the fact that we have vaccines. It's not really working, is it? So every now and then we see some other variant popping up here and there, and these variants won't really disappear either. The virus won't go away, because think about it logically. The law of nature is balance. So as long as humanity is not balanced with nature, we're going to have all kinds of dramas, natural disasters, all kinds of viruses, all kinds of conflicts between people, conflicts between countries. We're going to have all kinds of problems. Why? Because we don't have the necessary balance in nature. So nature's equation is balance. There's a balance between give and take. And humanity is completely out of balance. It's just out of whack completely. And because of that, these things will not stop unless humanity decides to change. So rather than wanting to change the world, we all need to change ourselves so that we can actually balance ourselves with nature. And that's the only way to move forward for humanity. Otherwise, there's really nothing we can do. Patricia is asking, how do I know when a deed is in Kedusha? Can a good deed toward a friend be outside Kedusha? Well, when we're talking about holiness, we're actually talking about a sensation where a person is clearly feeling the attribute of bestowal. Because holiness means creator, right? So when we're talking about holiness, we're not talking about what they might be meaning out there in terms of religion. There are two states a person can be in, right? I'm either going to be in spirituality or I'm going to be in corporeality. Corporeality means I'm in a desire to receive for myself. That's corporeality. So we're not talking about this meat and bone body. We're talking about the state. So if I'm in a will to bestow, or if I'm in the intention to bestow, rather, then I'm in holiness, where I'm actually in that state equal to the creator in the way that I act in reality. And only at that time can I do a proper, correct action. If I'm not there, unfortunately, I won't be doing a holy action, or I won't be in holiness. If I do a good deed towards a friend, well, as long as we're not in spirituality, it's not going to be in holiness, right? But we have to understand what is a good deed towards a friend. So a good deed towards a friend means that I'm helping his or her spirituality. I'm helping them to advance in spirituality. So from our perspective, despite the fact that we may not be in spirituality, what we can do really is help others to elevate themselves in spirituality, and that will be a good deed as far as the state we are in right now. Okay, that's that. So, and let's see where we're at. Number 5. After the sin of Adam Harishon, the creatures are regarded as broken and dead kelim. That is, their kelim are only their vessels, that is, their vessels are only in self-reception, separated from the life of lives. There's only a spark in them from the reshimot of Or Hoser, reflected light, that is. That remained and descended in order to sustain the vessels, so that through it they will be able to rise for the revival of the dead. That spark is a spark of holiness and is a residue of the Or Hoser. We must raise it, meaning receive it in order to bestow, which is called raising, meaning raising man. By this, a masach, which is a screen, and a viut are made, on which comes the filling. When the Or Hoser fills the kalim to an extent that will clothe the lights, which are Or Yashar, the direct lights. So once again, everything, we have to understand that everything is around the relationship between us and the Creator, right? Spirituality means me and our relationship, me and my relationship, that is with the Creator. And that relationship is the dialogue, which is the whole of creation. So the whole of creation is like the Creator's dialogue with us. This is language, we just have to decipher it. And if I don't understand how the Creator is behaving towards me, acting towards me, doing things towards me, if I don't decipher the language, I'm just constantly going to be in confusion. And this is why everybody's asking themselves in life, why me, why me, why me, why is this happening to me, me, right? And the reason is we don't understand where life is trying to take us. So if we do a bit of spiritual work, we'll begin to understand that each and every one of us has an inclination to attain something higher than this corporeal life. Whether it's strong or weak, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we all have this impression. So as soon as we start studying the wisdom of Kabbalah, we begin to actually get this little spark enlivened a little bit. It starts to kind of like shine a bit more. It becomes strong enough to start a fire inside of us where we can actually strive and move forward towards spirituality. So that Or Hoser, the reflected light, is the created being's bestowal towards the Creator. And that action of bestowal is a little impression that remains in all of us. And if it awakens while we're in this life, we can then, like I said, grow it and enlarge it, and then make this an attribute which is active and functioning correctly again. And that state is called a sixth sense, or it's called a soul, where you can actually then perceive a higher level of a higher level of reality, which is called the Creator. So in order for us to live in the reality of the Creator, what we have to do is raise and elevate ourselves from that little impression that we had in the initial state of creation, where there was Adam Harishon, and he was already in bestowal to the Creator. So that Or Hoser, that attribute of bestowal that was already embedded in him, is inside of us a little impression. Rightio. Okay, so let's take a look at number 6. This is from Shamati and it's from Baal Sulam. It's known that because of the breaking, sparks of holiness fell into Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya. But there in Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya, they cannot be corrected. Therefore, they must be raised to Atzilut. So Atzilut, the world of Atzilut, we discussed this before, is where the Creator really is. Atzilut is actually the attribute of bestowal. It's called the Creator's place. It's like it's where He resides. So Atzilut, from the word etzlo, at His place. First, we have to attain the attribute of bestowal. If we don't have the attribute of bestowal, then we can't really use our desires in order to bestow. We'll just be receiving all the time. We'll be using our desires for self-fulfillment, self-reception. Therefore, we won't really be able to do anything spiritual. So the most important thing is to raise ourselves to the world of Atzilut, which is to receive the attribute of bestowal first. That's the first thing. And then once I have the power to bestow, I can start working with my desires in order to bestow. And that is how we first get to Atzilut. And then we kind of go down to those desires in the worlds of Bria, Yitzra, and Asiyah, and we start to work with them, and then we elevate them to spirituality. In other words, to bestow. Here is another article. This is from letter number 19 from Bala Salam, a little excerpt here. Due to the breaking of the vessels, all the otiot were ejected to corporeal conducts and people. When one corrects oneself and reaches one's root, he must collect them by himself, one by one, and bring them back to the root, to holiness. This is the meaning of to sentence oneself and the entire world to the side of merit. Okay, so once again, by the breaking of the vessel, all of the otiot, now otiot literally means letters, but obviously we're not talking about letters here in the alphabet, they mean vessels, right? So all the desires were ejected to corporeal conducts, meaning only to be receiving for themselves. And when one corrects oneself, one reaches one's root, meaning the Creator, meaning the attribute of bestowal. Okay, so what we have to do, we have to get all our desires, put them all together, and we've got to turn them into a different kind of use, a use where we can bestow with them rather than just self-reception. Okay, so tonight we're 9 people. Doesn't sound too bad. Let's take a look at Rabash number 8. If you've got any questions, just pop them through and we'll have a discussion. So another excerpt from article number 867, which is the governance of peace by the Rabash. Man can toil and labor if no correction results from it. But for a small thing which does not require much effort, if it is on the path of correction, there's no strength, since the corruptions come from the breaking of the vessels of the sin of the tree of knowledge. Since this is still not corrected, corruptions still reign. This reign gives power, which is not so on the path of correction. This requires a different governance called peace. So let's read this one again. Man can toil and labor if no correction results from it. But for a small thing, which does not require much effort, if it is not on the path of correction, there's no strength. Since corruptions come from the breaking of the vessels of the sin of the tree of knowledge. Since this is still not corrected, corruptions still reign. So as long as my desire to receive for myself is not corrected, egoism will rule. There's nothing much we can do about it. This reign gives power, which is not so on the path of correction. This requires a different governance called peace. Now, peace means I've actually corrected myself. That's where the word peace is comes from the word perfection. So shalom is, although it means high in Hebrew, it means actually peace, right? So it comes from the word shlemut, which means perfection. So peace is actually a point where all my desires are in order to bestow. And that's when actually I can have some kind of tranquil existence called peace. Okie dokie. Okay, so let's go with Rabash number 9. All right, so we're on excerpt number 9. This is another excerpt from Rabash's article. This kli called receiving in order to bestow is the complete opposite of the kli called will to receive for oneself, which we attribute to the Creator who created its existence from absence. Hence, if we want to work only for the sake of the Creator and not for our own sake, it is hard work, since we must fight against the kli that the Creator created. From this work come all the lacks we learn about, such as the departure of the lights, the breaking of the vessels, kedusha, tumah, sitra achra, and klipot. Also, all the names we see explained in the Zohar and in the books of Kabbalah extend only from the correction of creation. This is so because we attribute the kelim of the correction of creation to the creatures, as it is written in the beginning of the tree of life, and as he explains in the study of the 10 Sefirot, that the first will to receive, called Malchut Ein Sof, said that she does not want to receive in order to receive, but in order to bestow. So once again, our whole problem and dilemma is due to the inequivalence of form with the Creator. So the Creator wants to bestow because his attribute is love, and the act of love is giving. And our nature is reception. That's how we get pleasure. But if we work and if we stay in reception, there's no way we can really get out of the dilemmas of our life. So what we have to do is change the way we use our nature. So our nature is reception, but if we use it in order to bestow, then we can actually come to this perfect state, just like the Creator. So here, when it says, when the person wants to work for the Creator, or where does it say that? Yeah. If we want to work only for the sake of the Creator and not for our own sake, it's hard work. So when it says work only for the sake of the Creator, it means work in order to bestow. Obviously, the Creator doesn't need our work for him, right? We don't need to work for the Creator, and he doesn't need our work either. What that really means is how we adapt ourselves to the Creator so we can elevate ourselves to perfection. Because if you take a look at our lives, there's really not much here. We're born, we live, and then we die. Okay? It's this funny routine, really. And then the way we die is like if we haven't even lived. It's not even like counted like we lived or anything. Because at the end of the day, think about it. Every day there are thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who are born, who are dying, and we don't feel any of that. So people are just born and they die, born and they're dead, as if they never lived, really. So it's a really funny routine that we're going through in life, and the only way to kind of snap out of it is to exist in a higher level of reality, and that's what the whole wisdom of Kabbalah is really all about. P. Green's asking, if we want to realize we have a connection with Ein Sof, why are we striving to get to Atzilut rather than Adam Kadmon, which is closer to Ein Sof? Because Atzilut is actually where the attribute of bestowal is. The world of Adam Kadmon is actually kind of like a template. That's the template of perfection, right? So Atzilut is the attribute of bestowal, and actually at that level, we attain all the attributes of bestowal that we need in order to bestow with all the desires that we have. Once we do that, we actually elevate ourselves to a place called Gar de Atzilut. And that's really on the borderline with Adam Kadmon. And that's going to be like our Ein Sof, our perfect state. And Isoke is asking, okay. He deleted his question, but he's asking again. Okay, so let's just see where we're at. So we're on excerpt number 10. Okay, but let's answer the question first from Isoke. So is the breaking of the vessels when we stop sensing there's none else besides him? Well, the breaking of the vessels is like when we're only sensing our desire to receive for ourselves. It's a state where we don't feel the creator at all. We're just completely disconnected from the creator, if you think about it. And that's how our life here is. It's like aimless. So we're all born, we're just trying to live and get through life and then ending up dead. So like I said a minute ago, if you think about it, it's like really silly if you think about it, right? Because what is it all for? Why are we going through all this stuff? What's the point, right? So none of that is really clear for humanity. So this is why we have a big dilemma, and this is why we're trying to, we're teaching the wisdom of Kabbalah to a lot of people as best we can, so that we can understand that the only way we can get out of this vicious cycle, this silly rat race or silly meaningless cycle, is to bring a meaning to what we're going through. And the only way we can really bring a meaning to what we're going through is to understand what the purpose of life is. So this is why a student who comes to the wisdom of Kabbalah is always asking about the meaning of life. Why am I living? What's the purpose of life? So these questions, if inside of us, these questions are, very amplified, let's say, or prominent, then we can actually start to search for a meaning in life. And if we come to the wisdom of Kabbalah, then we begin to understand and realize that our nature is not compatible with the Creator's nature. So we don't feel the Creator at all due to this incompatibility. But what we have to do is make ourselves compatible. And that's what we can do through studying the wisdom of Kabbalah. Okay, so from not feeling the Creator at all, we'll come to a state where we actually will be able to feel the Creator 100%. And how to feel the Creator? You can only feel the Creator if you exist in reality like He is existing. So in order for us to exist like He is existing, we have to attain the attribute of bestowal. And that's actually what's called hearing the Creator or seeing the Creator, and so on. So all these things are really like complementary in our study. Once we start to grow into spirituality, once we're born in spirituality and we start to grow in spirituality, then actually taking part in reality actively becomes like something much more concrete and real than the things that we live in this corporeal existence. And seeing equivalence of form. Yes, seeing is, okay, Isoke is I am so sorry, I'm sorry, I didn't know. Okay, so Isoke is a lady. So Isoke is she's asking, also, and sensing equivalence of form. That's right, exactly. So once we sense this equivalence of form, that's the time when we can actually understand the Creator's relationship to us. Because what's happening then, right? It's like becoming a mum, right? So when you become a mum, you begin to understand how your mum related to you. Unless you become a mum, you won't understand your mum. All right, so same kind of thing here. Also for us, it's the same thing. So until we get this equivalence of form with the Creator, we don't feel the Creator, we don't understand the Creator. So until we become a parent, we don't understand our parents. Our parents just, they just gave birth to us as someone there kind of thing. So understanding them at a deeper level requires us to reach form, equivalence of form with them. Same kind of principle will apply here with the Creator as well. Right then, let's come to excerpt number 10, right? We're at number 10. The essence of man is the heart. The heart is the vessel that receives the holiness from above. If it is, as we learn about the breaking of the vessels, that if the kli is broken, everything you put in it will spill out. Likewise, if the heart is broken, meaning the will to receive controls the heart, abundance cannot enter there, because everything that the will to receive receives will go to the klipot. This is called the breaking of the heart. Hence, a person prays to the Creator and says, "You must help me because I am worse than everyone. Since I feel that the will to receive controls my heart, and this is why nothing of Kedusha can enter my heart. I want no luxuries, only to be able to do something for the sake of the Creator, and I'm utterly incapable of this. So only you can save me." By this, we should interpret what is written: "The Lord is near to the brokenhearted." That is, those who ask the Creator to help them, so their heart will not be broken and will be whole. So here, the same kind of matter is ongoing. Brokenhearted means I begin to see how evil my nature is, how the desire to receive for myself is constantly bringing me grief. It's actually causing me a lot of trouble, and not just me. I'm actually beginning to see that I'm causing all kinds of problems to everyone in life. So a student of Kabbalah, if he or she is studying well, should begin to see that all the bad things that he or she sees are traits inside him or herself. So we're kind of revealing our evil nature as we study more and more and more. And why is that important? Well, this is the only way you can turn to the Creator. This is the only way you can say, "Listen, I feel like I've got a lot of bad inside of me, and I need your help to change me." Because the Creator created us, there's no way we're going to be able to change ourselves. If that would be the case, we'd never need the Creator. And if we never needed the Creator, why discover the Creator in the first place? Remember, the whole of creation is for us to build a bridge, a connection with the Creator. In order for us to build a connection with the Creator, the created being, by studying the wisdom of Kabbalah, by trying to elevate him or herself to a high level of existence, discovers how this is absolutely impossible with all the evil and the bad things that exist in him or herself. In order for us to overcome this obstacle, we need an outside help. And who better to help us than the Creator himself, since only he would know how to change our nature from reception to bestowal. And this is how you actually build that connection with the Creator. Remember, in life, we're also building our connection with our parents as children in the same way. Every time we can't do something because we're too small to do so, we ask our mum or dad for help so they can do it for us. Okay? Now, for kids, that's a miracle. Okay, because they can't do it, but their parents can. So in other words, what really happened there was a miracle, right? Beyond their power, interfered and did something. So same here. If you think about it, the model, the template works exactly the same way. So for the person, in order for that person to change his or her nature, he or she needs to understand that I can't do this, but somebody can. And who? That's the Creator, who is also known as our Father in the sky. So all we have to do is really learn how to turn to him. So we study, we discover what we really are, we have a desire now to change that situation, change ourselves, and we realize we can't do it by ourselves. So we have to turn to the Creator. And He then slowly, gradually, everything is gradual. Nothing happens all at once. So gradually the Creator changes a person over time. And that's when at one point he or she will enter spirituality, which means attaining the attribute of bestowal or elevating yourself above your desire to receive. Okie dokie. So let's do one more, shall we? Okay, so let's do, oh, I like this article. Let's do excerpt number 13 from Bala Slum's 600,000 Souls article. There is indeed only one soul in the world, as it is written, and breathed into his nostrils the soul of life. That same soul exists in all the children of Israel, complete in each and every one, as in Adam Harishon, since the spiritual is indivisible and cannot be cut, which is rather a trait of corporeal things. Rather, saying that there are 600,000 souls and sparks of souls appears as though it is divided by the force of the body of each person. In other words, first, the body divides and completely denies him of the radiance of the soul, and by the force of the light and the commandments, Torah and mitzvot, the body is cleansed, and to the extent of its cleansing, the common soul shines on him. So this is rather a nice article, because Baal Stam says there's really one soul and we're all part of that soul. And actually all the light that we're receiving is actually because we're receiving it as part of that one big soul. So as soon as the individual corrects him or herself in the system of Adam Harishon. Remember, we're living in a system, right? So we can't go around making head counts here. We're talking about attributes, traits. So once we begin to correct ourselves in the system, we begin to feel the light, the perfection of the whole of the system. And how can we begin to correct ourselves? Only by studying, all right? So we need to study. We need to then, from the study, understand how we need to change and accordingly go through that transformation process. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's do another one. Let's do 16. All our work in prayers and commandments is to sort once more and raise all those souls that fell from Adam Harishon into the Klipot until they're brought to their first root as they were in it before he sinned with the tree of knowledge. So what we really want to do with our studying the wisdom of Kabbalah is to elevate ourselves back to that initial state of perfection that the Creator created us in. All right, so we have to go back to that feeling of perfection that the Creator created us in the first place. If this is a bit confusing, you might want to look at our first semester lessons, where we talked about the first, second, and the third phases of creation. And there, if you kind of go over that lesson, that might help you in understanding how this whole correction process really works. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call it a night here, and hopefully if there are no dramas, I need to tell you that next week, okay, next Tuesday, it's not going to be a live lesson, okay? So next Tuesday, there's no live lesson. And, okay, so, and I have answered all the questions that I received, so all the questions are good. So next week, all right, remember, no live lesson next week. After next week, we're going to carry on as usual. And when we have this new Africa course coming up, I'll let you guys know in advance. And September, okay. Probably which is going to start around September. And when that is finalized, I'll let you guys know as well. In the meantime, have a great evening. Have a great week. I'll see you guys not next week, but the week after, hopefully, God willing. All the best. Bye-bye. Have a good night.